Welcome to another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks. I'm here with a film superstar. Was a superstar here. We'll explain why film superstar in just a second. But here with the executive director of OLLI, Ashley Chambers. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm so well. Thank you so much for coming here, Mayor Maddox.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, before we go into OLLI, let's discuss your time with the city of Tuscaloosa. Boy, that almost sounds like a prison sentence. I don't mean it that way, but tell people what you did for the city, your years of public service with us.
Yes, well, I'll tell everybody. I left the best job in the world to come to the best job in the world, and so I was so honored to serve the citizens of Tuscaloosa. I joined your team a little after the tornado in 2011. I came on in early 2012, and I served as the city's environmental educator. And so I had the very fun job. It was the best job. I rode around in the recycle mobile. I gave tours of the city's recycling center, state-of-the-art facility. I still sing its praises all the time because, solid waste, a lot of people don't think about the true impact that our public servants do provide for us as citizens, but garbage, trash, recycling. I was their biggest cheerleader, and I still am.
Well, you're still loved, and recently I was over at ESD for an event, and many of our team members still sing your praises and say, when are we going to get Ashley back? And so you were loved, and you were also a film star for us. Explain how Deidre Stallnaker got you into some city productions.
We called it the RPP, and that was the Roads Project. So back in, and we all remember it well if we've been in Tuscaloosa for longer than a decade, but from the years 2013 to the years 2016, every road in Tuscaloosa was closed or impacted. And it wasn't just for the summertime, it was every week of the year. And it wasn't through any fault of anybody's. It was just there were federal projects, state projects,
everything was
city
just hitting at once.
It was all at once. And so we did an outreach commercial to really make light of it. But I was the inconvenienced citizen in every scene that was coming up to every roadblock. And so there was a scene where I was even trying to eat my lunch, and there was someone with the slow down or caution sign, and then it turned to stop, and so I stopped.
Well, I thought y'all's creativity was fantastic. You did a great job, and so now you're with OLLI. So let's start with the basics. What is OLLI? Explain that to the people listening to this podcast.
Sure. Well, OLLI is an acronym, OLLI, and it stands for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. And regardless of what people think, Osher is a philanthropist. He lives out in California. He's not a University of Alabama alumni.
Really?
We love to name things after people around here. But Bernard Osher, he is the epitome and just the perfect example of a lifelong learner. He's 96 years old, lives in California, still gets up, goes to work every day, and runs his philanthropic foundation. And he has set up over 120 lifelong learning institutes throughout the country. So the University of Alabama is a very proud recipient of 2 Osher endowments that allow us to provide very low-cost lifelong learning courses to the community.
So what do you learn?
Anything. So I brought some examples of our catalogs. We have them posted online, but the topics are endless. We have volunteer instructors, so not UA faculty, but usually it's retired community citizens, retired faculty. We have some retired deans that have come back. But it really could be, you could teach a class for us, Walt, it'd be great, who come and share sometimes everything that they did in their career. So if it's a retired chemistry professor, sometimes he'll come and do a class on chemistry. But what's the fun in that? So oftentimes we have our instructors come and share another passion of theirs. It could be history. It could be gardening. We had Richard Scott from WVUA here last week talking about beekeeping.
Oh, yeah.
And he packed Sellers Auditorium because, my gracious, the large screen here at Bryant Conference Center, and it's a topic of interest, and it's fun. There's no tests, no homework. OLLI is lifelong learning for the joy of learning.
Yes, my grandmother, who lived into her mid-90s, would have loved OLLI. She loved to learn. I remember her telling me, she passed away really before the explosion of the internet. She said, I wish I was younger because on the internet, you can just read so much about everything.
That's right. And that's what I think us who are still in the working world, lifelong learning. Okay, well, it's another thing for professional development. It's something else I need to train myself on so I'm ready for this upcoming project. What we're finding, and really the pandemic helped us kind of reveal this, well, lifelong learning's fun no matter what age you are. But for those who are retired or looking forward to those retirement years in the next few years, they're sort of looking for that next curious topic that they've always had an interest in. Well, that's what OLLI's here for. They can look at the catalog and really delve into something that they never thought they could in their career or just didn't have the time to.
Well, before we came on the air, so to speak, you were telling me about the impact of COVID on OLLI. Talk about the impact of COVID and then where you are today.
Sure. Well, OLLI started back in the early 2000. There was about 2007. It predated me. Of course, I've only been here since early 2022. In 2007, 2008 was when we were applying for the first OSHA endowment. And around then, we started with 8 classes, got up to 500, 600 members, got all the way up to over 1,000 members. And I think our highest numbers were, 15, 1,600.
Yeah.
Well, then COVID hit. Everything on campus shut down. Really, the whole world shut down. You couldn't leave your home. And we haven't really shared this, but OLLI is really geared towards folks 50 and older.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my goodness, social distancing, masks. It's not... The program that we provided here, in-person classes just weren't happening anymore.
Yeah.
And so we pivoted to online learning. Well, that had its challenges. So OLLI membership dropped to around 300, which, again, for a community that's thriving here locally and even in Birmingham and Gadsden, we have chapters, that was really hard on our members and on the organization itself. And so thankfully, I'm glad to share, post-COVID, the world's opened back up. We're all here to be together again. We're over 1,200 members again.
I'm not surprised you're being successful. You're always successful at anything that you take on. So how often does OLLI meet?
It varies. So we meet our major schedule. We follow the academic year here on campus. Most school sessions follow a similar schedule, but we work on the semester system. So we have our big, heavy fall semester. Our semesters are 8 weeks long, too.
Okay.
So we start mid-September. We go through the early part of November. We break for the holidays because OLLI should fit into your life. It shouldn't be what your life revolves around.
Right.
So a lot of our members, us too, the holidays hit. And so we give everybody a good holiday break for Thanksgiving and the holidays. We come back late January, and then we meet again for the spring semester until right before spring break. Because again, the university kind of shutters down.
Yeah.
Folks get busy with grandkids and keeping them. And then we have our summer session, which I had always been told was a light session. We are as busy right now as ever. I don't know if you can hear. Hopefully background noise isn't too much, but it never slows down at OLLI. We are in the very end of our summer session. Next week, we'll end our 8-week session. And so we go from June to June and July. So 3 major semesters each year.
Is it too late if I want to join OLLI?
No, it's the perfect time to join OLLI.
All right. Well, how do we do it?
So joining OLLI, it's a membership organization. So there is an annual fee of $65 and then a course semester fee of $60. But it's the best deal in town because for $60, you have access to every single
Less than a
course.
cup of coffee a day.
Listen, and that's where I'm trying to deduce it down, kind of put it back on my old marketing hat. But to go into that, it really is, if you break it down per credit hour, which is what the university likes for us to do, but it's 17 cents a class.
Yeah.
if you took, a full course load, but there's no limit to the amount of classes or the location of classes, because I always like to share, our Tuscaloosa, it's our flagship campus. It's where the majority of our OLLI members sit. But we actually have an OLLI at UA group that meets in Greater Birmingham and Hoover and Vestavia, and Vestavia Hills, and then in Gadsden as well.
That is.
So our 1,200 members really follow I-2059.
Well, and that's one of the most populous corridors in Alabama. Yes. So the other question I have is, how old do you have to be part of OLLI?
I will never ask for anyone's birthday, but I'll say the average age, we have folks, I'll go our youngest members. We have some college students who have joined OLLI because they have the time. Maybe they've presented for OLLI themselves, practicing for a dissertation or having a class audited. And so we've got members in their 30s. We have members in our 90s. But I'll say the majority of our members are in the 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old range.
So you're never too young or never too old to be part of OLLI.
And our slogan is curiosity never retires.
I love it.
So.
I absolutely love it. So if I wanted more information, best place to go?
Our website, we're also very active on social media, but our website is olli.ua.edu. And that's a plethora of information, all updated. Our course catalog for the fall is out. And then we're so active on social media. These folks, they run circles around me socially, but even on Facebook.
Yeah.
They're always there with questions and comments. And that's the really fun part of OLLI. And I think you've experienced this too. We have some of our most active and influential citizens come into class every day, and they'll let you know how they feel.
Oh, I know. I've spoken to Ollie a couple of times.
Yes.
Well, my grandmother, who I mentioned earlier, was a hero in my life, and I'll never forget one Sunday. And this is when you called on Sunday,
Yes.
because the rates were cheaper.
That's right.
That's how old I am.
Is
So
that where that came from?
I
We always call on families on Sunday too.
okay, see, and I don't know if that was true or not, but certainly we thought it was true. And so I called my grandmother Ruby, and I was on Sunday afternoon, and I said, "Grandma, how you doing?" She goes, "Walter and Grandma Ruby and my mom are the only two people who ever call me Walter."
They're allowed.
Yeah. She goes, "Well, I mean, there's the only people that everybody else always calls me Walt." And so she goes, "Walter, I don't have time to talk to you. I've got to go get the old people from church. I'm driving the van." And she's 85 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, grandmother, who do you consider old?
That's right. That's right.
But what she was doing was she's living her life. And I think that's what we have to do when it comes to age is it truly is just a number.
It's just a number. And the more active we are mentally, cognitively, OLLI is such great proof of the time that we spend together socially. It just does leaps and bounds to our quality of life. And so you won't find any old people here. Age is just a number. There's nobody here who's not using their brain. So we are having so much fun here, OLLI, and we welcome anybody interested to join. The door is always open.
Well, I know what a great job you did for the taxpayers of Tuscaloosa. I have no doubt you're doing the same for the university and OLLI. If we can do anything at the city to help, please let us know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep up the great work. And this has been another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks.